We would be looking at, it's a really interesting question because part of this was driven by me. In 2022, I was aware of a company that had scaled quite quickly. They'd bought about 2,500 units. They'd done quite a bit more volume than I'd managed to do. Private equity backed, venture capital backed, and all the rest of it. And in 2022, their backers turned around when Liz Truss was in number 10 and said, and this was after the mini budget and everything else, the market was all over the place, and said, right now, at this point in time, you need to prove liquidity and you need to sell about 20% of your stock and prove that you can do it, because you can do it in the down times. That's when we know we've got a really, really robust business model. So they bought reasonably well, and they were trying to release at the worst time I could possibly imagine, putting hundreds of properties into auction. And the auction market isn't so big that hundreds of properties doesn't make a difference, you know. And I sat back and I observed that. We actually bought a few things from them because I thought this is a terrible time to be selling. Why would you do that? But I then sat back and thought about it and thought the people who run these £50 million funds are probably smarter than I am, right? So what can I learn from that? And I thought that the thing that I learned was that proving of liquidity apart from anything else. So is it okay to do the navel gazing 3-monthly exercise of revaluing your properties on paper? If you sell a property that you valued at 120k, right, you're not going to get 120k in the bank, because you're going to pay an estate agent, you're going to pay a solicitor, you're going to do all these things, right? So therefore, what is 120k property worth on the open market, and how long does it take to realize that money? And the answer is, in our experience, about 92, 93% of that, because also you've got things like council tax for the voids, if you're going to sell it with vacant possession, blah, blah, blah. But I decided that I wanted to prove liquidity, if you like, and also have real-time info on what was going on in the market. So the answer to your first question is, we turn over around about 3% of our stock every year.